to join me from Washington, taking very serious issue with the decision to set him free. New Jersey Senator Robert Menendez. And Senator Menendez, I have your whole report that was out today. It's called Justice Undone, the release of the Lockerbie Bomber. And if we can just talk specifically about how Al-Megrahi, who was released on what they call compassionate grounds. He had cancer, wasn't expected to live, as I said, past, 3 months. But based upon this report released today, do you think Al-Megrahi was as sick as Scottish doctors said he was?
Well, he was found, he was convicted, and his appeal was denied. And the bottom line is that, as our report elicits from medical cancer experts, that there is no way that a 3-month prognosis could have been given, that he would only live 3 months. Every expert that came before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, of which I conducted a hearing, even the Scottish experts that were used, would not commit to a 3-month period, and that was what was necessary to get compassionate release. So this was a medically unjustified decision. It was manipulated in order to have Al-Megrahi freed to Gaddafi, who made it his #1 priority. And Libya and Gaddafi used enormous political and commercial pressure to get Al-Megrahi released, and instead of sitting in a jail, he now sits in a luxury villa in Libya, and that's why we consider it justice undone.
Senator Menendez, I want to talk a little bit more about those doctors. There were Scottish doctors who determined he had 3 months to live, and that was all determined as part of his release because he had prostate cancer. And in part of your report, you say these were doctors who were, quote, clearly involved in political intergovernmental discussions. And CNN has been doing our digging on this as well. And I'm just curious, what written evidence do you have that those doctors were, in fact, linked in those political talks?
Well, there are a series of interviews that my investigator, who went to Scotland as well as Great Britain, and other documents that came out in some of the discovery that was had, that has the prison doctor, who is a general doctor, and Al-Megrahi's assigned doctor from the prison, who is also a general practitioner, not a cancer expert, who sat in meetings in which Libyan officials made it very clear to Scottish officials that, in fact, having Al-Megrahi die in a Scottish prison would be real problems for Great Britain and for Scotland. And so that had nothing to do with his medical prognosis. That had everything to do with sending a very clear message that Libya, which has a history of retaliating against countries who don't do what they want them to do, use their commercial interests to ultimately force the issue and to get their way.
Senator,
and since the British government had a big contract pending with BP, they used that as their leverage.
Want to let you know and let everyone know, look, CNN, we're doing our own reporting. We've reached out to the UK government, reached out to the Scottish government. We've yet to hear back from them. I'm just curious, since you released this massive report today, have you heard back from either government?
We have not, and of course, we don't expect them to agree with our report, but I think when you look at the facts in the report, the fact that all of the medical testimony says no way could he have been expected only to live 3 months, and he's lived 16 months. Clearly, all of the commercial transactions of BP for a $900 million deal was on the road to being executed and then hit a landmine with the Al-Megrahi release. And once Al-Megrahi was released, it was ultimately approved. The British government had powers, even as Al-Megrahi was in a Scottish jail, because they have power still with Scotland on any international relations question, on any foreign national in the United Kingdom, not to have let him go. So there are plenty of facts here to substantiate what the report said.
Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey, thank you for talking to me just after I was releasing this report, Justice Undone. I appreciate it today. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Now look at this.